Good Sunday morning, it's Meteorologist Ryan Hoke with today's edition of the Hokey video blog. We got spoiled rotten by that weather yesterday. Absolutely beautiful out there for thunder over Louisville. All the activities and events surrounding that went off without a hitch because of that 81-degree high temperature, plenty of sunshine. Of course, the clouds rolled in last night, and we have plenty of rainfall to show for it this morning. Our Kentucky One Health SkyTrack network of cameras in E-Town showing us the wet streets, the rain falling there in E-Town at this hour. Want to make sure you take the umbrella along if you're headed out to Sunday services this morning, or if you've got any other activities planned. Those temperatures due to rain-cooled air have cooled just a bit. We're down to 60 here with Louisville as of 8 o'clock this morning. Some upper 50s to our west, and even some mid-50s out towards Shelbyville, where they typically get just a little bit cooler out there. You'll see that we do have rainfall moving across portions of our viewing area right now. In fact, most of us are seeing it. The heaviest of the rainfall is across just north of the Ohio River here in southern Indiana, from Scottsburg down to Louisville at this point. Got some holes forming in this rain just to the south, but oh, don't you worry. Those holes will be filling in again, because you'll see we've got this heavier rainfall now across portions of Middle Tennessee, Cookeville to Nashville there on I-40. Starting to see some, as well as out toward Carbondale, Illinois. That's all part of that big heavy rain band that just moved through Metro Louisville. We heard it in the newsroom. It was coming down like crazy. That was a very heavy band of rain. Thankfully, it didn't last long, because if it did last long, we'd be in some trouble. Otherwise, we're okay for now. Hey, we've got this warm front moving through here this morning. That's the reason for the rain. This is going to be in response to the warm air moving in, because that warm air pushes up the air a little bit, and as it does so, it lifts it, and that lift is what creates the rainfall. So now you know why it's actually happening this morning. Now, in what's called the warm sector down here across portions of Tennessee and the Gulf states, that's where you get the really unstable air, because it's really humid and it's warm air moving on in. And that's why they've got a tornado warning down there in East Alabama, east of Montgomery this morning. Not good news, because it's Sunday morning at 7:30 Central Time down there. And a lot of folks probably aren't awake or paying attention, so it can be a dangerous time of year down there in the spring when you get those morning severe weather events. I remember we had a morning severe weather event on April 27, 2011, when I was living right there in Starkville, Mississippi. Had an EF3 tornado come through about 3-4 miles north of town. Pretty scary stuff. A lot of folks need to be alert down there. We can have that from time to time, but it's a lot more common down in what's called Dixie Alley. All right, I'll get off my soapbox now, but you get the idea. Those folks down there certainly in the warmer air and the stormier pattern. And for today, it's going to be a stormy one out there. Unfortunately, the Bats game not looking as good today as it did yesterday. Thunderstorms possible, 70% chance of those, and 70 degrees by the first pitch, 2 o'clock at Slugger Field. Not good. By the 7th inning, it'll be down to a 40% chance, but the double-edged sword part of that is that they may have stronger storms, even though there'll be less of a coverage of them. So we'll have to see how that works out. There may be a rain delay this afternoon. We'll have to see exactly how solid of a band of rain sets up as we go throughout the early afternoon. I have a feeling they may be able to try to get some of that game in. There might be enough of a break, and I'll explain that here with Futurecast. By 1:30, you'll see that heavy band of rain moving through here. This will be the second of 2 heavy bands. The first one just moved through this morning. This one may be a little heavier, a little bigger. A lot of folks are asking about flash flooding. I don't think it'll be a huge deal. I don't think this rain's going to be heavy enough or last long enough to give us anything like we had a few Fridays ago with that big flash flood event. The streams, the creeks, they'll certainly rise. That could cause some problems on property for some folks. We'll have to watch that. Otherwise, no widespread problems with rainfall expected. By 5 o'clock, all this stuff's moving north. We're thinking we're in the clear, right? We've even got breaks of sunshine. Well, you know what happens this time of year when you get breaks of sunshine and you're in that warm sector that we just talked about, south of the warm front that we'll be in. You got to watch for additional showers and thunderstorms to develop, where you get these little holes right here and you get more instability. That's exactly what happens as we go throughout 8, 9 o'clock, probably even before that, probably just after 6 o'clock. We'll have to watch that based on some of the high-res rapid refresh data I've been looking at this morning. So we'll be in here watching for those storms, because some of these could be on the strong side. Severe weather, I'm not really sold on at this point. The reason being is the best shear for severe thunderstorms will be off to our north and east during this time. The best instability will be south of us, though we will have enough to get some stronger storms going, certainly. Maybe a marginal severe thunderstorm warning or two. And when you combine all those factors, you really just don't get enough fuel to get a real big severe weather chance out of this. And that makes sense given the pattern that we're in that's shaping up with the rainfall this morning. Typically after a morning rain event, the afternoon stuff just isn't as impressive, especially when the morning rain event lasts until the early afternoon, which is what we'll see today. The latest data I'm seeing, though, does suggest that if there were a chance for stronger storms in Kentucky, it would probably be east of this line right here, most concentrated along the I-75 corridor, basically from Cincy down to Richmond, Somerset, that area where they could see some stronger storms. And this pattern, too, is one we've got to watch because even though there isn't a lot of shear, there's not a lot of change in wind with height, at least the speed, the direction is such that some of these storms may try to rotate a little bit. And we're not really talking about much of a tornado risk with that, just because we're lacking the instability. Remember, we talked about the displacement of those two factors there. But what we are talking about is storms with a rotating updraft can sustain themselves for a while. And that's why we've got a little bit of a hail concern. It's not a big one. Probably just some small to medium-sized hail, maybe an isolated report of severe hail out of this setup. So it's a very marginal setup. Marginal means it's very fringe. It's not a big deal. So we'll keep track of it as we go throughout this afternoon and this evening. By midnight, we're in the clear. When it comes to rain, it'll be out of here. We'll lose the instability, the sunlight, bye-bye. But we get more of that for tomorrow, and that's why we're going to see some additional showers forming, especially as we go throughout the late portion of the morning into the afternoon. We may see some bolts of lightning, maybe hear some rumbles of thunder out of this. It's not going to be like today, certainly. It's going to be a lot less heavy rain, but it is going to be somewhat widespread. So we'll definitely see rain in most locations tomorrow, just not a whole lot of it. Capiche? Alright, let's talk about the SPC severe storm outlook for this afternoon. It's a marginal risk. You see the risks that we have listed up there, all 5 of them, marginal, slight, enhanced, moderate, high. This is number 1 of 5. This is the least concerning. This is marginal. Alright, and that extends over much of the area for late this afternoon into this evening. Gusty winds, hail, lightning. We could talk about an isolated tornado, but I don't think that's going to be in our area. I think that would be farther south than us if that were going to happen, but we're not going to rule it out completely. It's what we call a non-zero chance. Non-zero could be 0.00001%, though. You know what I'm talking about? All right. So it's a very small chance. Gusty winds, hail, and lightning. That's what we're going to be seeing out of some of these storms this afternoon in an isolated fashion, not widespread. All right, here you go for your forecast on the 7-day breakdown. We've got cycluvia going on this afternoon. That's going to be on Frankfurt Avenue. That's where they shut down a big part of Frankfurt Avenue. They let the bikers and the walkers out there to roam the streets. Kind of cool. A lot of local businesses get a lot of foot traffic from that. You'll see that storm chances do go down, but the storm intensity goes up as we go throughout the late afternoon. So we'll be watching that. A lot of folks asking how much rain are we going to get out of this. I mean, it may go more than an inch in some spots as we go throughout the latter portion of Monday, totaling up today's rain, tomorrow's as well. 1.5 inches in Hardinsburg, can't rule it out, but in general, it's going to be less than an inch for a lot of folks across the region. Then we see a clearing of skies for the most part on Tuesday. I do think we'll see some clouds, but it's going to be a lot sunnier than it will have been Sunday and Monday. Wednesday, we get another shower chance, quick hitting, a little disturbance in the flow that moves through. But it also has a cold front with it. This cold front is not going to be cold, but it will certainly be cool. And we'll see those temperatures in the lower 60s for Thursday and Friday. That's jacket weather again. Yes, folks, we're going to have to keep those out and ready. 40 degrees by Friday morning. Some folks may get down into the 30s. We may have to talk frost. We'll see how that works out. Some of the models hinting at that. Then we got a little balloon action going on as we go Friday night into Saturday, and unfortunately we've got a rain chance on Saturday. Not quite sure about the timing at this point since we're about 6 days out on that, but it is worth noting that the balloon race may have some precipitation to deal with. We'll have to watch and see how that goes. Alright, so that's the forecast. That's a full look at the forecast. Stay indoors today when thunder roars, of course. Keep the umbrellas handy when it's not, and we'll be back here tonight at 6 and 11 on Wave 3 News with the latest updates to the forecast, and we'll track those storms as they begin to develop this afternoon into this evening. For now, meteorologist Ryan Hoke, have an excellent Sunday. Not Saturday, Sunday.